podcast saying, thank you, Zelena Hull, for the awesome music in the intro. Only this time it's, thank you, Zelena Hull, for being our guest. Yay, we are so excited. Right. We have been here for so long, and we are super excited to have you on here. We love your music. You are on our playlist. And if anybody follows my Twitter or my Instagram, they know I constantly am pushing your stuff. I pushed it to Cinnabon the other day.
They saw it too.
I know, it was great. And I pushed it to Black Bear Restaurant. And I mean, and here's a funny little tidbit. My husband, when we started the show with the podcast and had the music, he thought, okay, I edit this because he does the editing. He thought, okay, I'm going to get sick of hearing this. He said, he's not sick of hearing it at all. He loves it. So now we even listen to you when we're driving down the street in the car. Okay. I have officially declared myself the head of your fan club because I love your music so much.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you've been pretty much there from the beginning.
Yes, I have been. That's the truth. And I have always loved your stuff. And you know, we walk, Peyton and I take the dogs for a walk, and we used to do it all religiously. I'm not doing it as much now, but we used to listen to your music when we walk the dogs, and we'd be singing. And so it's great. So thank you for being our guest. Now, Peyton has a few questions he wants to ask you.
Yeah. Zelena, what is your favorite hobby other than music?
Oh, music. So my family's really into the arts and stuff, so I do a lot of random things. So I like doing realism and stuff as well as my mom, but most of it I don't really post or anything because I'm trying to get to the level that my mom is with realism. But a few things I did good in, I've posted, and sometimes I'll take them off if they're anything like fan works or anything of like any animated stuff I've done. So I just take it off, put it on for a little while, and then take it off. But I also do a lot of research and stuff because I'm into business a lot. I'm actually going to college for business with a concentration in marketing, as well as contemporary music because I got a scholarship for the contemporary music portion. So basically I do a lot of studies, and I like to do a lot of intellectual pursuits with that besides just music. So my free time is usually spent doing a lot of researching, like social researching and stuff. Since I'm autistic too, I like to look into the psychology of things so I can understand people better. So a lot of my spare time, I'm looking at documentaries and then how to read people, how to read body language and other things, and scientific pursuits as well.
Nice, way to go. And that's going to take you far with your music career too, because it's going to allow you to have a lot stronger perception of what's going on around you than a lot of people do. A lot of people glide through life, and it sounds like you're not going to glide through life. That's awesome. That's great. What's another question?
How old were you when you got into music?
What?
How old were you when you got into music?
Oh, I didn't really speak much till I was 8. Even though the kids at school would say something else, they're like, oh, you're a chatterbox, but I was really never a chatterbox until I reached 8. And let's just say, I couldn't stop speaking. And then we realized when I was 11, I could sing. So I pretty much, right when I got diagnosed with autism, we found out I could really actually belt and sing, because my mom would used to have me scream off the back porch when I was a little kid, because she was like, I wonder how Ozzy Osbourne got the pipes that he has. And that's what my mom did. So we didn't know, like, we kind of had an inkling that I could sing, but we started pursuing it when I was 11 years old. And after that, I started doing competitions because I was in voice classes as well as guitar classes, but I mostly just sang my way through guitar classes and started jibber jabbering about things and singing in the chairs. Like Dan Caston was my guitar teacher, but in those early days, we would just spin around the chairs and sing and goof off. And we would I would turn out the lights and just sing opera. And it was great. So, and then I started doing some competitive singing in the competitive circuit with Coach Roberts, which he's like Pitch Doctors LLC. I did a lot of professional work. I did some professional singing for Best Singer in the State and stuff. And I was actually the youngest judge on the competition. I judged it when I was 16 years old for Best Singer in the State.
Wow, that's awesome. Way to go. That's a big
Nice.
accomplishment. See, I said years ago you were a great example of turning autism into awesomism, and you sure are. That's
Thank
fantastic.
you.
Go ahead.
My autism really helped me to write songs. I wouldn't be able to write songs or anything if I didn't have autism. It helps me see the world in a completely different light. It also helps me look at rhyme schemes and stuff and break apart other people's songs. And I'm like, oh, this is how this verse works, and this is how it flows into this, and how you break up sentences, because I can see patterns really easy.
Yes.
So I'm able to see patterns in songs and put it down so it's consistent and different at the same time.
I think that's fantastic. And I think you bring up a great point. That's like Peyton. You know, he builds websites and he does, like he does graphic design and he's doing, he has his own Etsy shop where he sells stuff that is to help benefit other autistic adults and stuff from the stuff he sells. And I say all the time, he has the patience when something goes wrong to be able to sit there and then he researches it and finds the solution. And I believe that that's why his autism is beneficial to him, because he looks at things very differently than I do. Like I'll be like frustrated and be like, I don't understand why we can't figure this out. Peyton goes inside of himself and masters it. And I love that because of the way that he looks at things. It's just, and that's why I love the term awesomism. And that's why I attached it to you, because I've never seen you once. I've been following you for years. I interact with you a lot. I listen to your music. I listen to the words of your music. And I've never seen you take a negative approach. You always take a positive approach. And I love that so much because
Hey, I write darker songs too, though. You just haven't seen them yet.
you're so, you just have this rhythm with it, and you're just so free flowing with it. It's just beautiful. And I love I just think you're so incredibly talented. And, my husband and I watched Marcus Lemonis's show, Street of Dreams. I don't know if you watched that, but he did.
I don't watch much TV anymore.
Okay, you need to try to watch this show, and I'll tell you why. He did every one of them, all the ones are really good. But a couple weeks ago, he was in Nashville, and he was talking about how hard it is. And he interviewed these different, singers.
Oh, Nashville, it is so hard. There's a lot I can tell you about Nashville because I've worked there so much, and with Rick Barker and all the other things. There's a whole back scene nobody knows about. So with Nashville, a lot of people, no matter how good your song is, they want someone else to write on it.
Yep.
It's a circle there, and you have to be exactly the way they want you. And with a lot of record labels, they want you to be pre-famous before they sign you. So it doesn't matter about your talent. They want to put as little work as possible to make money off you, basically.
Wow.
So there's a lot of back end with the labels that people don't know about. I can't talk about that part. That's illegal. But basically, I've done a lot of things in Nashville, and let's just say the reason why it's hard to make it there is everybody wants a piece of the pie. And you got to be a certain way, you got to think a certain way. And I mean, there's a lot of positives about Nashville too, because I've worked with a lot of people there, and they're wonderful. But it can be a little hard as far as like for individual artists to make it on their own if they aren't money. A lot of artists make it because they have a rich daddy or rich mommy that pays for, some of their social blades to go up, their social status, or other things like, for example, Taylor Swift's father paid for a whole bunch of CDs to be printed off, and she'd hand them out of the back of a van. Even pre-internet, they have, it takes money to make money. So a lot of the back end of the big labels and stuff, all these kids, they either had money beforehand or had a mommy, daddy who worked at the label.
Yeah, I remember years ago, I was at a major convention, and it was a very, very, very big political convention. And there was a young guy there, and he wanted to make it in the record industry. And he went, and this was back in the CD days, and he went and just, basically sold everything he had and got a whole bunch of CDs made and handed them out to everybody, hoping that somebody who heard it would then help him. And I don't know, I never really followed it, but it kind of broke my heart because I thought, I handed it on to some people that I thought might be able to help him, just because I thought if he went that far, I wanted to see him try. And that's kind of what Marcus talks about, is how competitive it is and how it's not that easy. So many people have this attitude like, well, you just put it out there and it goes and you get it. And, that's another reason why I always try to promote you when I am the other day when Cinnabon was talking about, music. And I thought, hey, here's a perfect time for me to put her in there. I did it with Black Bear Diner. They have 142 restaurants. Okay. And they were like, who would you like to see in our jukebox? And I said, Zelena, and I sent, I put your stuff out on Twitter because I feel like I try to help you because I know you're doing everything you can. And I personally believe not only in your music and your songwriting, but in you. I mean, I love your story. I love how hard you work. I think it's phenomenal. And, you're in college, you're doing everything you can. And I that's part of the reason why I was so excited to have you on my podcast, because I thought, my goodness, I always talk about awesomism. Well, you and Peyton are beautiful examples of awesomism all the way.
I was looking forward for this too, because I had never really met you in person, and I was like, I'm looking forward to this because she's like my biggest fan, and I appreciate it so much. I mean, it's really hard to make it in the music industry. It actually takes $500,000 in order even to get the opportunity to chart on the top 40. $500,000.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
That's why it's so bloated on the music industry. And I get 0.0009 cents on Spotify per play.
Oh, wow. Well, you can thank me for some of that. Yeah. Okay, you had another question for her. What was it?
Who's your favorite country music idol?
Oh, country music idol?
Yeah.
I actually really don't have any country music idols, to tell you the truth. I never really listened to music until I started singing, because I have hearing sensitivities and stuff. So I made my music in a bubble. So I kind of like Led Zeppelin, like a whole bunch of old classic
I like Led Zeppelin.
rock. That's kind of how, I don't really have any specific idols though, but some like people that I look up to, as far as like, I really like their voice. I like Ozzy Osbourne's voice. I like, Robert Plant's voice. Def Leppard, I love them. I love a whole bunch of old classic things. Also, I do like some new wave synth, but that's nothing I perform.
That's yeah. See, I always my favorite country singer is, besides you, is definitely Luke Combs, because I like his, like, how he kind of is soulful in his singing, and that's really awesome to me. But one of the things that I'm really curious about, and this is kind of a silly question, but how did you get your name? Like, my daughter's name is Taya, which is a unique name. It's a Dutch name, and she's named after her godmother. So I wondered, how'd you get your name? Because it's so beautiful.
So my mom basically said that she read that people with more unique names do better in life. And she was like, I want to find a unique name. And she's like, she was thinking about Jade, Jezebel, and whole bunch of Jade, like a whole bunch of names with that kind of, because, my entire name is Zelena Jade Hull. But she got Zelena because she's like, I want to name her Sunshine because I want her to be happy all the time. But it's just like, I don't want her to be hippie though. So I need to find something that means sunshine that sounds not like sunshine. So she was looking in the book for baby names, and then she saw Zelena, and she's like, there was an English spelling for the Spanish word for sun. So she was like, I'm going with that.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I love the uniqueness of your name. Like I said, that's what I did with my daughter. Her name is Taya, but I love that. I love it when people have unique names. I think it's really cool. Did you, when you were little, I heard you say that your mom could like tell that you were different right away. So she noticed the difference when you were,
What?
your mom noticed the difference, like she saw your autism when you were little.
Yes. Yeah, because she did a lot of criminal psychology and stuff. She could tell right off the bat. She's like, yep, there's something different about her. An entire family argued with her saying, there's nothing wrong with Zelena. My mom's like, autism, there's nothing wrong. My mom originally thought it was Asperger's because it was high functioning autism.
Right.
So since it wasn't so she assumed that it was just Asperger's. We got me tested, said I had autism. Weirdly enough, one of the criteria was that I didn't play pretend, even though my mom didn't play pretend either. We found that very interesting because I know a lot of people that are completely normal that never did play pretend, and they met some criteria for autism, but they had nothing as far as like not any issues with the eye contact or reading people. So it's very interesting about some of the criteria. And well, I guess continue on.
No, I understand. I knew Peyton is the youngest of four, and I noticed it right away that there was something different. And and you're right. I mean, I was like your mom. People were like, no, 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 and then, but I think as a parent, when you have that instinct and you decide to kind of pursue it as if, you tend to allow them to grow into themselves a little bit more, that, like I feel like Peyton has grown into what are his strengths in life rather than what I decided were his strengths in life. And I like that. And obviously that's the way your mom has been with you, because your strength is your strength. You're clearly very strong in your music. Do you like writing or singing better?
Okay. It's kind of a weird, like it's hard to, this music to me is kind of like singing and the words are the same thing, because a lot of people like to use there's some cultures that, like, for example, in Native American cultures, they use vocables and they don't have any words in their singing traditionally. It doesn't matter to them. It's the actual music itself, the emotional context versus the actual words. So to me, though, personally, with the genre I'm in and the music I like to do, I personally love classic rock and like singing rock and like, singing harder stuff. But I tend to put more country stuff on there because that's more marketable. But to me, singing and writing are kind of the same thing. They're interlocked, they're fundamental. Personally, for me, a true artist can do both. And I love both of it, because when I look at the words and I'm like, oh my gosh, I did such clever wordplay. And then I look at my singing and I'm like, oh, I'm happy with that. But to me, I could be a happy person and just make a living off being a songwriter.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Wow.
So I don't necessarily have to I'm just what I would love. So there's two paths I could go down with the music and I would just be delighted. I could go the traditional path where I'm the whole artist, or I could just be picked up from a record label as a songwriter or co-write on people's works. And that would be a great opportunity too, because then I wouldn't have to deal with the public spotlight.
That's true. That's true. My husband and I watched this documentary on the Bee Gees. And one of the things that they talked about is how many songs that, everybody always associates them with their songs, but they wrote songs for other artists, and how, some of their big money came from doing that, writing for other artists. So that's pretty interesting. I did not expect you to say that. I'll be honest. I did not expect you to say that. So that's really interesting.
I love entertaining people, and I don't care what medium it is through.
That's awesome. So okay. So here's another question for you. So what would you say if somebody said to you, where do you want to be in 10 years? If you could absolutely path it out, not how to get to that, but in 10 years, where would you really like to be? What would you really like to be doing in 10 years?
So in 10 years, I would have loved to be either signed with a record label and performing as like an actual artist, or make it big on the internet and do internet content, almost like an influencer with the whole music, and the music be a little bit of a side thing and me talking at the same time, or make it as a big songwriter and just be songwriting for people and just be, hey, you want me to write for you? You want me to write for you? And write for big names as well as smaller names and medium, just write for people.
Okay, so okay, here's my question on that. I want to ask you this. So you said you would like to be an influencer on the internet. Do you mean like a social media influencer that promotes, like talks to people about how to go down the path in music or about songwriting, or do you mean something completely different and social media influencer?
Well, with the social media influencer route is, in order to make it big with music, you do have to have a good social media presence. What I'm thinking about is versus other artists, once they get big, they kind of scurry off social media and just plug their albums when they go up. What I want to be is be able to interact with my fans or my audience or people on the internet, do stuff about autism, do little story times, talk about my life, also some tips and tricks about the music industry. So more than just music, I would like to encompass. I would like to encompass more like on the art side, writing side, and also personal life side, almost like the whole spectrum of me.
I love this. You know what? I'm not just saying this. I love this so much because that's kind of what we're doing with Peyton with Team Awesomism. Only he's kind of doing it as helping other autistic adults or others learn about how to set up a small business. And part of the reason why we set up his Etsy store was because he loves to do this tracouture that he's doing. He loves to do the art because it's very calming for him.
It is.
He loves it and he's very creative. It allows him to use his creativity with it. But he also wants to show others how they can sell their stuff on Etsy, what it takes to be like an S Corp. This is all the path he's going down, which is hence why he also learned about websites and graphic design, designing your logos and stuff, because there's so much to it. So I love that you want to do that. I think you would be fantastic at that because I've watched your videos. I think they're great. I love what you share. My husband was hilarious. He's like, you should ask her to sing on the podcast because we love your voice so much. So, I'm like, that poor girl, but okay, now that I know that we have to really listen to you on Spotify, I'm going to be putting that out there all the time because I love it. I want to do, Zelena, I'm your biggest fan. I've been your fan for years. I would love to see you. It's not my business, it's your business, but I would love to see you do that as a social media influencer because you know what else? You would be raising awareness, activism, and acceptance of autism in a way that very few people are doing it. That's part of why we took the route with Peyton that he wanted to take with the small business is because he's like, I want to step outside the stereotypes and out of the norms, and I want to show and help, in these ways. And I just think what you're doing, I mean, don't you think it's awesome?
Yeah, it is.
And
I agree with that.
Yeah. I mean,
because I want them to be able to see autism for more than it's just like almost like a different type of personality. It kind of affects your personality and kind of affects like how you present yourself and stuff, but it's just a different way of thinking for me. Honestly, a lot of people think autism is something that's not or have a negative connotation to it. So what I'm hoping to do is bring awareness that we're a lot more than just autistic. We're people with interests in what we like to do. And so some of my videos will be around autism, but I'm going to do more. I like talking to the camera and stuff, and I'm getting more comfortable at it because I'm a little bit like, but not because I'm nervous, but just because sometimes I blank out and don't know what to say. But since I'm so much of a chatterbox, I can talk at the camera and just figure things out.
No, and you're right. I mean, this is why it's called the spectrum too, is that it's all different. I mean, I think one of the things that really irritates me sometimes too is people will say to me when they find out that Peyton's autistic and they'll say, oh, so he loves computers. And I'm kind of like, they're not all Rain Man, I mean, he doesn't go sit huddled up in a room and just, all by himself do this, his art. He comes up with all these ideas, he draws things, he picks them out on the computer. He's constantly researching. He'll come to me with things and talk about things that it goes right over my head. I have no clue what he's talking about, And
I've found people have come up to me and they're like, Zelena, you're smart. You're not retarded. And I'm like, autism is not retardation. I've had multiple people say that to me. And people that even have kids that actually have learning disabilities that they will consider under that, retardation. And they said that to me. And I'm like,
yeah.
how? How?
What that I love too is when people say to me, Peyton doesn't look autistic. And I'm just like, I've gotten to a point now where I just kind of fly on by it because I would spend all my time trying to get them to listen and they clearly don't want to listen. So instead, that's why I really push the awesomism. I'm not saying everything has been a cakewalk. I'm not saying everything is great. I'm not saying it's an easy life all the time. But at the end of the day, we really highlight the positives of it. And like you said earlier, and I love what you said about you feel like because of your autism, you are a better songwriter and you're more creative because of it. That's how I feel with Peyton. There's so many things that Peyton sees that I never see. Like he'll come to me and show me something that he wants to do. And I'll just be like, and I have an art degree. Okay. I'm an artist. I went to school, to college for art. Okay. It's not like I'm not creative. I'm totally creative. I'm not analytical. And I don't see it. And he'll come with it and I'll be like, oh my gosh, this is phenomenal. We'll just be like, and I love it. And that's why, I just think you and Peyton are such great examples of this. And that's why too, I've always tried to really highlight you on my social media everywhere, because I want people to see you. I want people to hear you. I want people to hear your voice. And when I say that, I don't just mean your singing. I mean you. I want them to hear you. I think you're bringing
Yay!
I think you're bringing an awareness activism that it needs to be heard. It needs to be seen. And that's how I feel about Peyton. Like when, the little videos and stuff he'll do and people or things he writes on Twitter and things, and people say to me, oh, did you write that? Oh, did you tell him to say that? I'm like, that's Peyton. That's what Peyton wants. Peyton's more shy. So he'll chatter at home, but he's more shy in front of the camera. But Peyton, people don't realize the depth of him. And, like he's in Bible study and in Sunday school, and his teachers will tell me, oh, he answers every question. He talks about everything. And I'm just like, because he's not in front of the camera. And I love that you get in front of the camera and talk. I think it's great. I love your
the reason
videos.
why I've been able to do this is my mom never made me feel embarrassed or anything. I was able to make weird sounds and stuff. And she was like, and people would come over, they're like, why are you letting her make those weird sounds? And my mom's like, because she's a kid.
Yep.
I was able to express myself in a lot of ways that other kids probably weren't able to. So it enabled me to never really be encumbered about social norms or so I've never felt pressured.
But that's great. That's the way we were with you, right?
Uh-huh.
We Peyton be Peyton. Peyton for a while was really, what were those things that you were really into? The Bionicles.
Bionicle, yeah, Lego Bionicle.
Yeah, the Lego Bionicles. He would build all these cities. Well,
we both like robots, apparently.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you know what was funny is Peyton, this was years ago, Peyton had an iPad and he had done something wrong he shouldn't do. So we said, okay, let us have your iPad for a few days. That was his punishment because he was addicted to the iPad. So my husband was looking through the iPad and we saw these stop motion videos and we're like, we didn't even know he knew how to do these. And Peyton was doing these phenomenal stop motion videos. And we're looking at him like, wait, what? So we set him up a whole studio because we're like, hey, he loves this. Let him do it. We never said, no, Peyton, that's not something that will help you in life. We were like, go for it. And that's what I love about you. Obviously your mother didn't hold you back. Your mother said, go for it, do it, be it. And that's why I love your pictures. I love your photography. I love that you are you. You are so you, and it is so beautiful. That's why I always tell you, I almost always comment on your pictures. I'm always like, this is beautiful. I love this. Oh, this is great. And I do it because I mean it. I don't just do it so you get your algorithms up.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it because I don't believe in really photo editing or photoshopping photos. Maybe changing the colors and stuff, but I've never photo edited myself at all. And it's hard to make it on social medias because they do it so much. They Photoshop themselves to be like a perfect cookie cutter. Personally, I don't think it's perfect cookie cutter, but to society, yeah.
I agree. And I love that. I mean, I don't even use, I've never used a filter. So I'm 60 years old and people are like, if you use the filters, you wouldn't see the darkness circles under your eyes. You wouldn't see this, that. And I'm just like, you know what? If people are offended because I'm me, then that's fine, because I'm me. This is what you see is what you get.
Exactly. Honestly, the bad thing about social media is people like to put up a false front and lie about their appearance because they feel pressured by society. I think we need to get people that like more aware that there's more things beautiful than just that small little cookie cutter mold.
I agree. I completely agree. That's part of the reason too why I love the term awesomism, because I feel like we're taking what a lot of people are saying, and saying, look, there are so many awesome sides to this. I tell people all the time, I consider Peyton a blessing. Peyton taught me patience. Peyton has taught me so much. He's taught his siblings so much. And I think it's beautiful. And I want that beauty out there. We share our story because we want other people to see the positive sides of it. It's easy in life to go through life only looking at negatives, but let's push the positives out there.
Yeah. Yeah. With my songwriting too, it's my subjects. You're gonna see probably some darker songs eventually out there because I like to write. For some reason, when I'm my happiest, I write darker songs. I have no idea. So when you hear something that's like for example, that song "Whispers and Lies" that I put up on YouTube. When you hear that song, I was actually extremely happy while I was writing that.
That's funny.
It's like my songwriting does not reflect my emotional state. It's just things I think about, like something happening to someone else or myself that I can just think of it analytically, like, okay, this is what I'm like, basic trajectory. I usually write the chorus first, the catchy part first, and I write everything else around it. So sometimes still ends up dark because of the rhyme scheme.
Oh,
Neat.
yeah. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So what would you say? Do you like to find rhymes, or do you just like pull the lyrics out of the air, or do other things inspire you when you write?
Well, usually when I write, it only takes me 15 minutes to write a song. What happens is I usually just like either I'll plunk a melody out on the guitar and I'll like, oh, this is the perfect rhyming scheme that could go with this melody. This would fit perfectly. This would be the perfect sentence structure for this, for the guitar phrasing I'm using. Or I write out the lyrics almost as if, okay, this is catchy, this is catchy, this is catchy. Let me build around a story around it. So I kind of just think of a rhyme scheme. What are things that rhyme off the top of my head?
Wow, that's all it takes you?
15 minutes, yes. That's why I've written 650 songs.
Oh my!
Whoa, that's a lot.
Yes, I am blown away that that's all it takes you.
Congrats.
Yeah, I listen.
Love with you, that song. It actually took me for like 5 minutes, and I was scribbling that one down really quickly, and I was like, "Oh, it makes sense." Once in a blue moon, I'll go and change like a few words around later, but I don't really. It's other people. Like I have other songwriters in my family, and it takes them years to write songs, and then I just do it in like a few minutes. And some of my songs have like different phrasing and stuff than I notice than other people because I like to do different phrasing and make things that go in line and out of line with I can't even say the word, but the syllables in the music and how it matches up. Sometimes I like to mess with that a little bit. So some of my songs have different phrasing than other people would have just so because it sounds fun better with the music.
I'm in shock. 15 minutes.
Wow.
I know. I mean, I can't get off of that 15 minutes. It would take me 15 months to write one of those. That's amazing. That shows you have a true talent for it.
Thank you. My mom, how I developed this is me and my mom, our radio was broken in the car for a very long time. And we didn't want to get it fixed. We didn't want to put up the money for it. So basically, me and my mom would sing and she would make up lyrics to everything because she couldn't remember the lyrics to anything except Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Now she's even forgotten that. So that's why I got songwriting skills, because off the fly, she would say a sentence and I would have to say something back to her that rhymed with it.
That's
So
cool. That's actually
that's how I developed that. So with songs, my favorite thing in songs is sometimes I like to do a little bit of free verse if it makes sense, and within the timing of the rest of the with the rhyme, if it times well with the other rhymes within it. So you'll see some things that don't rhyme, and I do that purposefully because it still makes sense. So but I really do like rhyming. It's just a thing. It's just a pattern thing that I like doing. I just like looking at something and seeing a lot of rhymes. So with rap music, whenever I'm looking at rap music, I'm looking at the rhymes and making sure it rhymes. And I'm like, a good rap song always has rhymes, just about.
That's really that's interesting. Do you have any siblings?
No, I'm an only child.
Okay. Yeah, see, Peyton has 3 siblings. They're all
Yep.
way older than him.
Yeah, they are.
How old is Peyton?
21.
21. Oh my God, he's my age. Well, I'm 20. I'm 21 in a few months. Well,
Wow.
December. That's not a few months. That's like 11. But
When is your birthday?
I usually put on social media December 21st because I don't want people to literally see. But my actual birthday is a few days shy or a few days before. So I'll tell you it later in DMs, but I don't put it out on social media.
I understand.
Okay.
Yeah, Peyton's birthday is, he turned 21 in September.
Yeah.
So,
Oh.
yeah. Yeah.
I don't drink. Good drinking, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. His siblings are way older than him. My oldest brother. Well, you tell him what's your oldest brother's name? Tell him your siblings.
Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paul, Tam, Preston.
Yeah. He's got 3 older. He's got 2 brothers and a sister.
Yep.
Aw.
Tell him
Me being an only child, my parents were able to devote a lot of time to me. So maybe that's like with me being an only child, my mom said that was probably better personally for me, even though she wanted to have other kids. They didn't really get around the time to it. Because otherwise I would never been able to do my music. They wouldn't have been able to afford it or anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they said that it worked out for me. So
Yeah.
it worked out for Peyton too. So
Yeah. Tell her about your siblings.
Paul lives in Florida, Taya lives in Dresden, Germany, and Preston lives here in Texas.
Yeah. Yep. His sister lives in Germany.
oh, cool.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Basically my great grandfather, he was from Germany. My great grandma was from Sicily. They married each other and both sides disowned them. So they moved here.
Have you been to other countries?
What?
Have you been to other countries?
I haven't been outside the US yet though.
Okay.
Eventually though, maybe like a 4 years, I might travel out if, when Corona's not, not a thing. But I don't know when that will be. I honestly, because I was actually going into medical before I was actually went to college because they gave me the scholarship for contemporary music and I couldn't fit in the medical path for that. But I could fit in business administration. I have like almost 80 to 90 credits right now, and I've only been in college for a year.
Wow, that's great.
Cool.
I have been working my butt off. I've been working during summers. I mean, and I got a certificate in entrepreneurship during that time too.
See, that's awesome.
Congratulations, Selena.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really good. So that sounds like what Peyton does. He takes online college classes and stuff. That's what he does. Because Peyton's like you. He always wants to learn.
Until the outbreak. Mine was in person. I was at school for 48 hours a week.
Wow.
Whoa, that's a lot.
Before the outbreak. 48 hours a week.
Yeah, see, Peyton's
with my schooling, they require me to go to 20 events a month before the pandemic and support other students.
wow. So you go to school there where you live, near where you live?
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, see, Peyton was homeschooled his whole life because I homeschooled all his siblings too. I didn't homeschool Peyton because he was autistic. I homeschooled all his siblings. And so, he graduated from an online academy that was not for special needs. It was regular academy. And he graduated with honors.
Yes, he
and
did.
so he's continuously taken education. I mean, Peyton's always trying to learn. He always wants to learn. So, and I love that. I inspired that in him. And, his stepdad is fantastic with that with him. So, he does it. He's always learning.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. I tell you, I actually was qualified to go to college in 9th grade, but the school never told me. And so the guidance counselor refused to tell me because she was like, oh, I don't want this, because I was the only one that was qualified and there was 2 other students, but they both dropped out. And she didn't want me to drop out, so she refused to tell me, and then the school got her in trouble and she got fired for not telling me that I could actually have done that. So I managed to go to college my senior year of high school online for free.
Wow. That's amazing. Way to go.
My grandmother had a genius intellect in math, and my mom was borderline genius, but she considers herself in more the gifted category because it was like on the borderline. It was like in between it. It's like the section between genius and really gifted. I don't really know what my IQ is, but my dad, he does electrical, he does carpentry, he's also a computer programmer, and he's done a lot of robotics for a whole bunch of manufacturing companies. And he created an AI the other day that, a year ago, an AI that was basically cut out huge portions of cycle time that literally saved the company it saved the company billions of dollars in profits.
That's awesome.
Wow. Nice.
Because it was just so fast comparatively to the other lines. It was like able to get cars out way faster. Because what happens is the AI was able to detect when parts were coming, but make other parts in advance too. So it was able to get a rhythm going and create parts faster versus having it arrive and like, oh, I have to create this part. It was able to expand to everything else on the line and make things for that too, and make surplus while I was waiting for another part.
So you get combined naturally to have both the creative and the analytical, the right and the left side of the brain.
I tried.
It's awesome. Way to go. You're definitely a very talented person, and it's amazing to watch you over the last few years because I've watched you. I didn't think you could get better, but you've gotten better. And it's just really heartwarming to me to watch you do what you do, because I think you are so incredibly talented. And I think that you are such a beautiful example for autism. If I had my way, you would be on Marcus Lemonis' show and he would be talking to you about how to make the world better, because I think you really are a shining example for so many. And I think you help by being you and your parents raising you to be you. You have really turned into this person who is a great example to teach people what autism really is, that there aren't boundaries, that you can do what you want to do. And that the more that you're given the ability, which is what I feel with Peyton, the more that you're given your ability to shine as you, the more you shine. And I think that's beautiful. And that's why I'm such a big fan of yours.
Thank you. I try to be a good influence.
I think
I
you did
try.
a good job.
I'm a little rotten sometimes. I try hard.
I think I think you're a great example. And that's, again, why I really wanted you on my podcast, because I felt so strongly that this is going, I told a friend of mine last night, I said, this podcast with her is going to make me so happy, because it's what I have been fighting for since I started blogging and started doing this, pushing autism into awesomism. I said, this podcast is going to be the best example of that. And I love it. I love it. I love your spirit. I love the fact that you don't take things negatively. I love that you take negatives and turn them into positives and you go with it. And I think that more than anything else is the greatest definition of awesomism.
Thank you. I didn't really struggle too much with my autism. The things I just had issues like understanding people socially, but also I would take things literally. I still do. Like, for example, one time my dad said, get the cat out of the way, throw it over your shoulder. And I literally threw the cat over my shoulder. And Dad was like, no! And I'm like, Dad, you told me to do that. And same thing, my dad had a bucket of bleach and he's like, pour the bucket over the floor. And I poured the bucket over the floor. My dad's like, you weren't supposed to do that. And I'm like,
Yeah, that sounds like Peyton. Peyton, you take things very literal.
Yeah.
And then he'll say to me or his siblings, but you told me to do that. And we're like, no. Like, that's an expression, that's like an expression, like, well, just drop it. And what I mean, like if I'm saying, if he's holding something, he'll just drop it. And what I mean is, don't talk about it. And he'll just drop whatever in his hand. Yeah. Yeah, we
I
did.
feel you're saying that. I do.
My daughter always used to say, he lit that up. He lit that up. And so Peyton would light things and we'd be like, no, we don't mean light it up. We didn't mean start it on fire, Peyton. No, we meant like they did good. That
I wasn't that bad, but I never lit anything on fire.
Oh yeah.
I think boy.
He had his pyromaniac days. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
He wanted,
Oh yeah, it was awful.
Yeah, it was. And then you know what stopped him though? The saddest this is, what stopped him was one of our neighbors' houses started on fire and he said to me, I'm never touching another match again, because it scared him so much. And I was like, as sad as that was for that family, thank goodness that's what taught him.
Yeah, I remember that.
I tell you, there was our neighbor across the street, their house burned down. But what happened is we were at I was doing a gig and then we came home, but the entire street was lit up with fire trucks. They told us that it was our home that caught on fire. So we freaked out, and me and my mom and dad were holding hands walking down the street. Turns out our house was fine. Me and my mom were kind of shocked that our house was fine because we accepted our fate at that point, because it was like a mile walk. And then we're like, oh, and the lady, we tried to help her and stuff, but she was really mean to us. So your house burned down, and yet the lady was like really mean and not wanting to talk to us.
That is.
We're like, hey, we can help you. We can give you supplies, toothpaste. If there's anything you need, and the lady was like, whatever. And even before that, okay, this was even funnier. My Uncle Chuck, he accidentally took out their driveway like a month before the fire happened. And he was a U-Haul. He used to be a truck driver. So we were moving in and we had like the U-Haul, and it accidentally crushed their entire driveway because he accidentally backed into it and just destroyed the driveway. And we were like, oh my gosh, we're going to pay for that. God, give us a little while to give me the check. And when that lady had the fire that night, my dad went out there with the check. He's like, I don't think this will do much good now, but here it is anyway.
Oh, that's cute. That's sweet. So what's next for you? What are you working on now? What's next for you? What are you doing?
Well, I'm working on a lot of college stuff. I'm trying to record some acoustic stuff to get some of that, some acoustic stuff. I'm kind of experimenting with the way I want it to. I'm gonna do some more vlogs and stuff though too to pad it out because I have a contract with CD Baby with the whole I can't release singles, I can release doubles or more, but it's hard since I can't go anywhere because I'm usually produced in Nashville and stuff with producers and stuff. I'm gonna have to do it myself because COVID. So
Oh,
I'm trying to. I know how recording softwares work and everything, but I'm trying to polish it and make sure it's polished because it's hard to record my voice because apparently my voice hits a lot of different frequencies that that can't get picked up on a microphone apparently. So I have to adjust my singing style to make it sound the way I actually want it to, the way it's supposed to sound in person.
wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty wild.
It kind of happens to my mom too. I think I inherited that. It's just our pitch sounds completely different recorded than it does in real life.
Wow, that's I see. I'm not really. I mean, I love music, but I'm not a music person. I'm not in the industry, so I didn't know all these kind of things. That's why I find like documentaries about singers and stuff so fascinating because it's just not something that I have.
I don't even auto tune either, so none of my stuff is auto tuned. But I do sound better in person.
Oh wow. Okay. So you're working on some new ones now, other than school. I mean, obviously you're over with school.
Yes. Since I'm doing I'm doing the double major, so school is like insane, but how much I have to do for that. But yeah.
Well, make sure you keep us up on whenever you put in. I like it that you attach me in the emails because Twitter has become so toxic that a lot of times I just jump on, look at a few people, jump off. I don't sit and scroll and read like I used to. And so,
Yeah.
you
Pretty
know,
much.
yeah. So when you include me, it's great because then I can retweet you, I can push it, and stuff. So make sure you keep doing that, and I'll keep pushing you on social media. And everybody that listens to this podcast, I want to make sure that they follow you on all your social media, on Twitter, on Instagram. You have a YouTube channel. What
And
else?
Facebook.
Facebook. What
I
else?
have my website too, ZelenaHull.com. Yeah, I have a little blog section there that you can, leave comments and stuff on some of the blogs I've done. I don't do too much blogs, but I'm starting to do a little bit more because it's just a lot of time and effort that I have to put towards it. And I have a few things that I've done on the blog so far. Like I actually posted a paper on marketing potential of voice assistants on the blog. So if anybody wants to check that out, I got that up there on my, music. Also, you can get 3 of my songs for free on my website. Born and Raised, Walk On By, and Serious are all free right now.
I
So
love
you can
Walk
get
On
them.
By. I love Walk On By. I love that song. Are you kidding me? I can't hear somebody say that expression without your song coming into my head immediately. I mean, I'm serious. If I hear somebody just walk on by, immediately your song comes straight and I'm singing it in my head the rest of the day.
And there you go.
Yeah, I know. That's true. Peyton goes, and there you go. Because I was about ready to start singing it, but I have a terrible voice, so I won't. I'll spare people. Yeah. So if you ever want to be a guest blogger for me or for Peyton, you are more than welcome. And anything that we can ever do to help you, you are absolutely. I mean, like I said, I think you and Peyton are beautiful examples. That's why I love Peyton's Team Awesomism's Etsy store. And I'll tell you what, we'll do this. If people buy from Peyton's Team Awesomism Etsy store and they put in the comments that they did it because they bought something because of Zelena, we will go ahead and pay for them to get some of your music. That's what the money will go to, is to help buy your music. So with that, okay, so whatever
That's so sweet.
Yep.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So if they go to Team Awesomism Etsy store and if they tell us in the messages that this is just say Zelena, then the money that from that item we'll use to buy them music so that we're helping you, and people then will get I'm telling you, people will get addicted to your music when they listen to it. Like I told you, my husband said, and this was true, he said he thought he was going to get sick of that, intro music that we use. And instead he's sitting there and I hear him playing it over and over because he loves it. I'm like,
Hey, you want to know who did the backgrounds on each song? you know, with production wise and stuff. Would you like to know that for a cute little, you know, tidbit? So In Love with You, Country Boy, Serious, I Believe, hold on, I'm thinking, 6 Feet Under, Time, Fire, were all done by Dan Caston, the background, one dude. And okay, I did Born and Raised and Walk On By. I did that at Southeastern Sound Studio with a whole bunch of studio musicians. I did Cinderella Barbie and Joyride with Kenny Lee and his a lot of his people. I did it with a Grammy-winning artist. I did with an up-and-comer, you know, lead guitarist that play, and then a guy that plays with the Grand Ole Opry. So that's the album that has like a lot of big names on it. So they were really nice too. They liked my work, and I was super happy. And I love the steel guitar. My favorite background was probably "I Believe" from Dan Caston. That was so good how he did that. He heard my song and he's like, "Time to put some bells in it."
Yeah. Yeah, I'm telling, the thing that I love so much about your music, because somebody said to me one time, this was like 2 years ago when I was talking about how much I liked your stuff. And they said, why do you like her stuff so much? I said, because it gets you, like, you're going along with the music, you know, there's a rhythm to it. There's just, it's so relatable. And you know, like, that's why we used to listen to it on the walk, because we walked faster. We stayed out because we got energized from your music. It's great. It's great music in the car. It's great music in the house. It's great music walking. I mean, it's just, it should be on everybody's playlist. I know I say that on Twitter a lot, but it's the truth. And I'm telling you right now, put it on, and I'm telling you, people put it on their playlist, they'll be like, why didn't I come to this sooner?
So to people on YouTube, you guys can check out a lot of songs that I haven't released yet on my YouTube channel that are my originals. I have several of them, including like a little thing, a section I did bathroom edition. So a lot of them don't have, they actually have titles, but I was letting people guess the titles and stuff. And then after a while, I started putting the titles in it. So the bathroom editions are all my originals that are new. So basically, I'll put new ones on social media and stuff that I'm, because it takes a long time to do backgrounds and music. So I still want people to get new music. So that's the way I'm releasing new music right now, even though I'm going to eventually get some more stuff. Doomed Duck and Hey Girls are probably going to be the next things I'm going to release.
Oh, nice. Okay. Awesome.
So you can see them both on my channel, the acoustic versions of those. Doomed Duck has changed a lot though, so it's changed a lot as the piano solo now.
Oh wow, wow. Yeah.
So Doomed Duck has gone through a change. That one's about Wall Street and Wall Street corruption. That's very different from my other things.
That's wild. We'll be going to that. So, well, okay, we're coming up on the hour. So I just wanted to thank you again and again.
Thank you.
If you're listening to this, go to Team Awesomism, AWESOMISM Etsy shop. And we do some special orders. So if you're interested, and if you buy something and you put Zelena in it, that money will absolutely go to buying her music for people. And I really would love to get it out to, and if you want to go ahead and dedicate that music to somebody else that we buy it for them, that you think they need it, you let us know. And also please follow Zelena. She is the best. You will thank me for learning about her music. Follow her on all her social media because she's a delight. She radiates beauty. She radiates sunshine. She radiates everything that's positive in this world. She is the true.
Oh, I tried. Thank you.
It's true. And you are the true definition of awesomism. And I am so proud to know you. And I am so proud to be your #1 fan. See, we even have the number one right
on the
here.
podcast. I've always wanted to be on here. Oh, that's so sweet. Honestly, thank you guys for having me. This has been wonderful. I've been dreaming of this moment for a long time.
You're very welcome, and you have a beautiful night.
Keep
Tell
up the
your
great
parents,
work.
yeah, and tell your parents, hey.
Okay, I will. Love you
Bye.
guys.
See ya.
Love you
Nice to have
too.
you
Bye
here.
bye.
Bye bye.